Our elders used to do that. They used to have cattle, goats, uh, but then the population was still a small population. Yeah. So there it is. We are on Zimasit, and you're talking of 2014 and 2018. Well, we will get there. And when we get there, of course, you must rethink, re-examine, review your policies and look ahead. So you look backwards, you look at the present, at then what will have become the present state of affairs, the situation as you see it, and forward into the future beyond 2018. And then fine, you plan afresh and see what good from the past you can carry into the future, and what failures of the past you can now correct and make good, so the improvements can be done to your policies in the future.
Yeah, Your Excellency, on Zimaset, these four clusters, if I look at them, security, food security and nutrition, social services and poverty eradication, infrastructure and utilities, and value addition and beneficiation. What about if I say to you, are these not the normal areas that any government is supposed to be focusing on? What makes Zimaset unique?
Yes, these are the areas that each and every country really has as objectives, or should have as objectives. But do they have them as objectives? It's one thing to say, well, we have land and we want our agriculture to improve, to yield the crops that feed the people. So you do away with hunger and starvation, and in a sense also do away with poverty. But it's another to work out effective policies, well put together, well defined in terms of how you would want to work on the land, the skills you need, the technology required, and the total application of all the inputs put together. You must have the drive, and that is what is important. Policy making is a very important tool. But policy making alone is not sufficient, because you can have policies well written, it's paperwork, but you must be able to implement them. The implementation must go together with the policy making, with the theoretical part of your policies. And this is where Africa is failing. Implementation. In some cases, it's just a failure to plan, let alone failure to put together the means. Yes, you will need capital all the time. There is need for money. There is need for money. You have to create the money. Use your resources. to create the money, but by not abandoning your resources, but by just having the value of your resources and attract partners on the basis of your resources, either to give you loans that are guaranteed by those resources, or to work on those resources jointly with you in a manner which does not deprive you of the ownership of the resources, but will at the same time benefit the partner. And these methods have not been carried out in the rest of our Africa. What you see there is land which is in the first place not being cultivated properly. And leaders are content to leave, small farmers to do their farming as long as they can produce enough food for the country. The leaders are content that their resources, and we have lots of resources in Africa, be they oil, be they minerals, or be they just the richness of the soil and the wealth of our forests. But in some cases, these have been taken for nothing by erstwhile colonizers. Oil discovered, those who discovered the oil spell out the terms to the owners, the country in which the resource is. They become the owners, and the host country then relies on them. And you get a company with the right to mine oil, own the oil itself, and then decide on what percentage the host country should receive. And in the majority of cases, the percentage is far less than even one quarter, 20%, 25%. You get 10%, 12% is what comes to a country that has the resource. And this is a depleting resource. Once taken out of the soil, you don't get it replaced at all. It's not like a growing crop. And that is the style of all minerals. That's how they get depleted. You mine them and you create cavities. You may cover them with soil, those big holes, pits that you create, but you don't get the resource coming back. And that does not seem to dawn on the minds of some of our leaders, that these resources are vital, God-given. Lose them, you won't get them again. So, well, there it is. Well, we are not like that. We say no. The resources that we have in Zimbabwe belong to us. Anyone who wants to have a share of them, well, yes, On a joint basis, they must not get the majority of shareholding, and therefore they must not get the larger share. The larger share should be that of our country. And we have limited ourselves to 51%. In fact, for now, we have said at least 51% must belong to us. At least people have interpreted that generally to mean that we are to remain at 51 in every case. No. In some cases, we must go to 60, 70%, depending on the negotiations. But we have said 51, 49 in majority of cases. And 49% is a hell lot of wealth, you see. Just imagine, you see, if you get $1 billion from your wealth, mining wealth, 51% is yours, 49% of $1 billion goes out. Huh? And that is why we have said indigenization and empowerment does not mean we should just apply it to the companies that exist. No. A greater part of it must be that which applies to our people and our people alone, without outsiders. So 50% the state, 50% our Zimbabwean group of miners. We put them together, we put themselves together. Now, the wealth remains in the country. That way, or companies can be formed that will get 100%. Zimbabwean companies. And that is empowerment, the better part of empowerment than the one that just seeks the 51% from the existing companies. But we have lots of wealth still lying underground. Must we always depend on outsiders to come?